of the Torah, right?
Sure.
Did he have to physically do it?
Yes, the commandments include physical commandments. So yes.
Okay, so the way he was doing it, is it the same way as the Israelites? No, it isn't, right?
Yes, it was.
It was
Hmm?
so wait, so Abraham was following the 613 commandments.
Sure.
How was that possible if there was no Levitical priesthood at that time? It was only the Melchizedek
Sure.
priesthood.
Right. Do you want me to show you?
Yeah, show me, show me.
Sure.
Wait,
No problem.
wait. Who's G1 debating today?
So
Okay.
Lorino.
if you go
Wait,
to
what's that?
Genesis 24:1, it states, "We found that Abraham, our forefather, fulfilled the entire Torah before it was given to Abraham, as it is stated. Because Abraham listened to my voice, he kept my charges, he kept my commandments, he kept my statutes, and my laws." So it gives four different things there. It gives commandments, charges, statutes, and laws. The commandments, for example, is the Torah, right? The Torah. The statutes and the laws can be, let's say, the oral Torah, so on and so forth. So our commentators establish this is regarding that he observed multiple more laws than what's written that he had to accept, right? There's other instances, for example, where he breaks unleavened bread. For example, Genesis 19:3. It states how he prepared the fast and he baked unleavened bread, right? And this is, for example, him keeping the Passover. So there's many instances, for example, of Abraham fulfilling
Yeah,
the entirety of the 613 commandments. But
so
either way, it doesn't
again,
affect my argument because it
no,
states this Torah.
you didn't answer my question. I asked you specifically about the Levitical priesthood because 70% of the Torah is due to that priesthood. Am I correct?
Sure,
Okay, so where did Abraham offer sacrifices or have a Levitical priest around him for him to fulfill the law?
sure. So again, I could just argue, right, that he had a different Torah.
A different Torah?
Sure, I can argue that he had seven commandments, right? The six commandments given to Adam and the one commandment given to Noah. And then at Sinai, the Jewish nation got 606 extra commandments. It's no issue. But the issue for you is that Deuteronomy 29:29 states that you have to keep this Torah and physically apply this Torah forever.
I
That's the
don't
issue.
again. So I already proved to you that there's many Torahs out there, or Torah can be observed differently
Sure,
depending on any time period. Okay,
sure.
so
However,
your hold on
Adam's.
1 second. You're
Go ahead.
presupposing that in Deuteronomy 29, when it says you physically do this Torah forever, then all of a sudden you're saying that it can't be abrogated, right?
No, because Abraham's commandments are never eternal commandments. This is kind of like a Muslim's argument. Can God abrogate the Torah? And we say
He
God can't
can.
abrogate. Two
Yes, he
seconds. But
can.
then they'll say, for example, that Adam was abrogated, right? The seven commandments of Adam, the seven commandments were all abrogated. So I'll say two things. I'll say Deuteronomy 34:10 establishes Moses is the greatest prophet. So Moses can abrogate whoever he wants, and no one can abrogate his word. That's the first thing I can say, right? Because Deuteronomy 34:10 states Moses is the greatest. And second of all, the seven commandments of Noah, right? Up until, let's say, Exodus, they're never commanded as eternal commandments, right? So as far as I'm concerned, they're temporary commandments. However, in Deuteronomy 29:29, it states that you have to keep these commandments ad ha'olam. So these commandments are eternal, and these commandments cannot be abrogated because they're called eternal.
Okay, so let me go to Isaiah. Hold on 1 second. Let's go to Isaiah. So I'm playing the game. There's a verse in Isaiah that says that when the Messiah comes, we're going to observe his Torah, right?
So Isaiah 42.
Okay, so what's his Torah in that verse?
Sure. So again, this is when he'll reestablish a Torah that's been lost. For example, there's many interpretations revealed and many deep mystical things regarding the Torah. And it just states that he'll bring and spread the Torah back again to how it was. Yeah. It's not
Wait,
regarding a new
hold on
Torah.
a second. When was the Torah lost?
The Torah was never lost, but ideas of the Torah were lost. For example, you read again to the verse. If you actually read the verse, it doesn't say Torah Chadash. It doesn't say Torah Chadash, which means a new Torah, right? It
I
just
never said it
means
said that. I never said it
sure,
said that.
sure. I never said that you said I said that, right? I'm just
Okay.
trying to
Yo,
say
can I take
that the
that still?
verse. I'm just trying to say
Huh?
the verse doesn't apply, for example, in the Torah. It's just establishing that the Messiah is going to come, and he's going to reveal all what was lost between the prophets until now, for the last whatever 3,000 years.
Yeah, but what was lost? That's what I'm asking you. What was lost that he
Sure.
has to reveal?
So if you like ask an average Jew, right, do the rabbis today possess the entirety of the Torah? and what was possessed in the days of the prophets, they'll say no. They'll say that many interpretations, many mystical teachings, right? Many things were lost. This is like the basic Jewish tradition, right? For example, there was many books of the Bible lost, right? For example,
What?
that was the.
Oh my
This is sure not the Torah. I said the Bible. Sure, there was many books. For example, there was a book regarding wars that the Jewish people possessed, but they lost it due to not keeping the Torah, and God decreed that they should lose that book. So there was multiple books, right, that were lost. There was multiple teachings that were lost. This is just basic Jewish
So
understandings.
now you're affirming that your Torah is corrupted, right?
I'm not affirming the 5 books of Moses is the Torah, right? For example,
Remember, no,
right?
but the Tanakh and Torah is synonymous. So is the Tanakh
It's
corrupted?
not. The Tanakh is not the Torah. No, it's not.
Okay,
What
is the
does the
Tanakh
okay?
corrupted? Is
Give
the
me
Tanakh
two
corrupted?
seconds. Let me just explain to you. The word Torah means teachings. So the 613 teachings are not corrupted. Nothing's happened with that. Rather, what we say is that there are additional books that the Jewish nation possess and additional teachings that we no longer have. It doesn't imply that anything's corrupted. It just doesn't. It just means we don't share the same wealth of text. Do you understand the differentiation?
You're saying that books are missing. What type of books?
Sure, you can read about them. For example, there was one about all the wars that the Jewish nation won. That's just one example I'm giving. There's multiple. There's stories about. I'm like I'm saying this. Do you know about Kabbalah, like Jewish mysticism?
Yeah,
Most of that hasn't been passed down. The sages today are not as great as the ones from the times of the
bro.
prophets, for example, or the times of the Talmud. So they weren't able to transmit the entirety of the Jewish text. As to why, for example, things in the Spanish Inquisition, so on and so forth, were lost. There was many things that we believe have been lost over the years, and we reveal them when the Messiah comes. He'll bring a new divine light, and he'll reestablish the entirety of the Torah to how it was essentially, and be greater, so on and so forth.
Okay, the reason why I brought up Isaiah 42 is because throughout Isaiah you see passages that presuppose a new law. For example, in Isaiah 66, it says that the Gentiles will become priests. How is that
Okay.
possible? In according to the Torah, the eternal Torah, the Levitical priesthood is forever, and in the Levitical priest there is no other people that can be Levitical priests. So how can
Okay,
Gentiles be Levitical priests?
which verse in Isaiah are you going to?
Isaiah 66, verse 23. It's at the bottom. It's at the bottom of because Isaiah 66, verse 17 talks about the pork eating in the sanctified gardens. And then you keep reading, it says even the Gentiles will become Levitical priests. So there's
Isaiah,
passages.
one
So
second,
there's
Isaiah 66:23.
it's at the bottom of Isaiah 66.
Okay, I
And
need the
that's just
verse.
one of the passages. Okay, wait
Okay,
one second.
21.
Okay, just read it because I'm playing the game. Hello?
Sure, one second.
Okay. So throughout Tanakh, there's passages that presuppose a new law. It's now we don't believe the Torah is done away with the way you guys believe it is. We're saying that the way it's observed is different from the Old Testament's criteria and demonstration the way it was preserved in the Old Testament. For example, we still believe in sacrifices, but we believe that our bodies are our own sacrifices, and our bodies are the temples. So we're not restricted on the Levitical temple to offer sacrifices. The sacrifice is us. We are the portable temple. So anywhere we are, we can offer a sacrifice. Okay. So there's still language of the Torah about the Torah in the New Testament. So we don't believe it's done away with. But according to you, in
Sure,
order for you to substantiate your position, you'd have to concede that there's passages that presuppose a new law.
sure. Again, this doesn't presuppose the new law. It doesn't even contradict the old law.
Okay,
All
break
it's
that
saying
down.
is, sure, in the end of days, what's going to happen is God is going to open his house to the entirety of the world. And God is going to allow, for example, non-Jews to bring sacrifices as well. For example, it wasn't a common thing, right? For example, the city of Nineveh, when God spared them, God never requested that they should bring sacrifices. God said, if you return, so on and so forth, I'll forgive you. Likewise, this is the idea that God's going to allow the Gentiles extra rights because they'll become holy via the emanation of the Shekhinah and so on and so forth. So it doesn't entail any law, it just entails God's going to be much more merciful.
That's that doesn't wait, hold on a second. All you just said is that God is going to open his household. You haven't brought up the verse when I said that according to the law, right? It's the Levites. They were the ones who were kadosh. They were set apart from the other nations. Sorry, the other tribes of Israel for them to be royal priesthood and offer sacrifices to the Lord. But in Isaiah 66, verse 21, it says that the Gentiles will be taken as for priests. How is that possible according to the law?
Okay, so it's all it's establishing. I'll give you that to the Jewish interpretation if that's something you want. It's saying how God's going to take those who have assimilated within the Jewish nation and he's going to establish them as priests. That's our interpretation of the verse, by the way.
Damn, where did everyone go?
So this is how we establish it. Because it says, and from them too, from the peoples, right? From them too. Now, why is it saying and from them too? And the sages expound on it that even those who had assimilated within the Jewish nation, who weren't really Jewish, right? As Deuteronomy 29:29 states, the hidden things are before the Lord. So God understands even what's hidden. So, for example, this is hidden, right? The Gentiles have assimilated into Israel, for example. Even they will be allowed, even though they were Gentiles, they'll still be allowed to serve. Again, this doesn't entail a new law.
I'm not arguing servitude here. I'm talking about there's a restriction in the law that requires the Levites to be the priests. It doesn't show any other people being Levitical priests. The closest you can get is 2 Samuel, where David's sons were considered priests, even though they're from Judah.
Okay,
So,
again, you're not like responding to my point.
what's your point?
Again, my point is this will just be regarding people that have converted into the religion. That's what it's establishing. And for them, I'll make them priests too.
Okay, so how do you break down 2 Samuel?
Okay, well, 2 Samuel.
Okay, hold on a second. David's sons were priests.
Okay, let's read Isaiah 66 verse.
Okay.
For behold, the Lord will come with fire, with his chariots like a storm, to rend his anger with fury, and rebuke with flames of fire. By the fire will the Lord execute judgment, and with his sword upon all flesh. And the saying of the word shall be many. They that sanctify themselves and purify themselves in the garden behind one in the midst, eating swine's flesh and detestable things, and the mouth shall perish together, says the Lord. For I know their works and their thoughts, for the time shall come that I will gather the nations and tongues, and they shall come and see my glory. And I will set among them, and I will set among them, and I will send those that escape of them to the nations to Tarshish, Pul, and Lud, that draw to Tabal, and Yavan to the lands that have not heard my fame, and have not seen my glory, and they shall declare glory among the nations. And they shall bring all of your brethren out of the nations for an offering to the Lord upon horses and chariots, and in litters and open moors, and upon fleet camels. To my holy land. 1 second, that's not working. To my holy land.
Bro, you're not gonna find it, bro.
Mountain Jerusalem, says the Lord. 1 second. The Lord,
Yeah,
as the children of Israel bring an offering in a clean vessel to the house of the Lord, and I will take of them for priests and Levites, says the Lord. So where it says, I will take of them, is regarding the children of Israel that have just converted, that have been converted to the children of Israel, that have become Levites. So it's not regarding a new law.
Okay, so let's go to the law really quickly.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, you're saying that they're going to become proselytes, right? They're going to proselytize into Israel.
Sure.
Okay, let's go to the law really quickly. I'm going to see if this is a contradiction.
Sure. Which verse?
I'm just looking for it because I don't really read the Tanakh like that. Levitical. Sorry, just give me a moment here. Okay, so Exodus. Dang, hold on.
It's fine, I've got a few minutes to wait.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Exodus 40, verse 15.
1 second. 40:15.
Yeah, and by the way, if the law was eternal, then there would be no need for the Messiah.
That doesn't entail which argument do you want to focus on?
Okay, just stick with the Levitical one.
Okay, so let's read from like 13. Put the sacred vestments on Aaron and anoint him and consecrate him, and that he may serve as a priest. Then bring his sons forward, put tunics upon them, and then anoint them as you anointed the father, and they shall serve as priests. This their anointing shall serve them for an everlasting priesthood throughout the ages. So it's saying that as long as there's a temple, the Kohanim will have an everlasting role as priests.
Yeah, the Kohanim, right?
Sure, the priests. Sure.
And it's only reserved for the Levites, right?
Doesn't say it's only reserved. All it's saying is that the sons of Israel will have an everlasting. It doesn't say other people can't join it. It's just specifically stating, for example, that they will have it. For example, the Jewish nation has an everlasting covenant with God. Correct?
Mm-hmm.
This is Isaiah 59:21.
Yeah.
Now, this means that it is for the Jewish nation, but it also means that other nations can join it. For example, if you go to Deuteronomy, it does talk about other nations being able to proselytize and come into Israel. It just entails that it is also and will always be with Israel, even though other Gentiles can convert and take part in this covenant. Likewise, this is establishing that this will always be for the offspring of Aaron. However, it doesn't establish or say anything regarding other nations. Other nations can join it. So you kind of read that into the text.
Okay, so let's get into proselytism, right?
Sure.
Just because someone let's say if I convert to Judaism, okay, doesn't mean I could do anything a Jew can do. Like just because I convert into a Jew doesn't mean I can be a Levitical priest.
Okay, what's your proof for that?
The law states that.
Okay, where in this verse does it state no one can join and become a priest? Because again, I'm going to make the same parable with you. Listen, this isn't a good argument. With all respect, I'm going to explain to you why. You're stating that specifically states it's for the offspring of Aaron. And I'm also stating, right, that the covenant with Israel is for the offspring of Jacob. But I've also established to you that there can be converts to Judaism who can convert and also now as well take part in this. Like I can say that this is reserved, yes, entirely for the offspring of Jacob, of Aaron. However, also likewise the same as Israel, people can join and take part in this covenant. There's no issue with this.
Okay, let me prove you wrong. So remember the time that the Levitical priest was carrying the Ark of the Covenant? And the person who wasn't a Levite was when the Ark of the Covenant was about to fall over, the person who wasn't a Levite touched it and died instantly.
Okay? Sure.
Because why? Because God specifically said anyone who's not a Levite should not be a Levitical priest. It's that simple.
Of course.
He touched it and died.
Wait. But it doesn't say that you can't convert and become a Levite. He's just saying those who already right now aren't Levites cannot touch it. He's not saying that you can't convert it. For example, let me explain. A non-Jew is forbidden to keep the commandments of the Torah. For example, if a non-Jew keeps Shabbat, we have to kill him the Sabbath. However, it doesn't mean that a non-Jew can't convert and keep the Shabbat. A non-Jew can convert to keep the Shabbat. Likewise, the same idea with here. Yes, someone who's not a Levite cannot touch the Ark of the Covenant, but it doesn't mean that someone can't convert and then be able to touch the Ark of the Covenant. So I'm just going to apply the same principles, like how many things.
Don't worry, I'm just like I'm. Don't worry, we're gonna have a full discussion on this, bro. We're gonna have a full discussion, bro.
Do you see what I'm saying with my arguments?
No, I see. I'm just not prepared right now. I would actually give you more points.
You can message me. That's why I did say you can have like a week to like pull some arguments together. Because trust me, whatever you're gonna give me, I've had it. It's not like.